Hello and welcome to Mad About Sports for today's stream. And obviously, we are here to talk about India versus England, the fifth Test match, which is happening in Dharamshala. The day one of the test has been ended, and obviously, India is on top after day one of the game, where India have had a phenomenal day when it comes to their bowling and also with the start they've gotten with the bat. I want Antariksh joining me to talk about it, but what a day India has had so far. If we just talk about the day in general, India put England to bat first. England had a phenomenal start, to say the least. 100 for one they were. And at the end of the lunch session in itself, they lost 7 to 8, almost 8 wickets. And from there on, it was a downslide for them. And they were capitulated for 218. And India, in response at the end of day one, has scored 135 runs, with Rohit Sharma still not out at 52, and Yashasvi Jaiswal scored a quick fire 57 before he was stumped out by Shoaib Bashir. But all in all, Antariksh, what a phenomenal day. Kuldeep Yadav's fifer, Yashasvi Jaiswal. So India has just carried on from where they left.
Yeah, I think it now seems that the series is well and truly done as far as England are concerned. Like, I think it's formalities, although they shouldn't forget about the World Test Championship. But yeah, I mean, it just felt that they were outfoxed, outplayed, and they just lacked that. I don't know what do you call it, like desire or something, just to go out there and maybe make a point. As we discussed last time around that if they manage to do something 3-2 sounds it has a good ring to it, right? But 4-1, it's like it shouts utter domination. So, and like Stokes is very quick to be confident when he has to and very quick to shift the blame when he has to. So he's like, we never had a chance with this Indian team. Bro, this was the only chance you had with this Indian team, with the pitches
Yeah,
we made. God knows when we'll make pitches other than these now. Like I don't know,
yeah,
because I for one was waiting for a rank turner, but I don't know when we're gonna see a next rank turner now. So bro, this was your chance with the squad quality of India. Like how many debuts did we hand away? Like today's one as well.
yeah,
So I mean 3, 4, 5 debuts. I mean, come
yeah,
on, that's that. Yeah, exactly. That's like half the team, half the playing 11. So yeah, England have been disappointing to say the least. Ollie Pope's dismissal, right? That just sort of simplified what we mean by it, like unnecessary
yeah,
dancing down the track. And when
mm,
you've just lost a wicket, and then Johnny Bairstow as well, he was looking in the mood, but then again, just going on, they're just not trying to read Kuldeep, right? They're just trying to
yeah,
slog him. And Rohit Sharma, well done, keeping the field on. Many a times we saw this because due to Baz ball, and then when India batting, I don't know, maybe Jaiswal and the other lot, how they batted, fields were very spread out in this series, right?
yeah,
But kudos. Rohit Sharma kept the field up when Johnny Bairstow was batting. He smacked a couple down the ground, but he still kept it up, invited him for that over the sort of cover
yeah,
region kind of a drive, and he fell onto that and a good catch by Dhruv Jurel. And
yeah,
also, Dhruv Jurel, my God, like we see a bit of Dhoni in him, don't we? Like,
yeah.
aage badega. Just before the ball, Pope was stumped, and that is what Pope did. He did bado aage, and boom, good ball by Kuldeep. I mean, I was so happy. It was kind of a wholesome sort of
Yeah,
moment that nice.
absolutely.
We see keepers do
I mean,
that.
Dhruv Jurel has grown as a cricketer in this series. Well, he's just played three Test matches. For all that we know, this is his what, a fourth or fifth innings that he's keeping as a Test match keeper, and has
Yeah,
already grown in stature as a keeper, grown in stature as a cricketer. I'd like to mention it because two mature knocks, incredible behind the wicket. I know you can say about one drop chance which he had of Shoaib Bashir today, but I think these things do keep happening. It was a tough chance as well. But other than
yeah,
that, Dhruv Jurel is top notch at this point of stage. Again, every time we come on a live stream for the last 3, 4 lives, we've been having nothing but to praise Dhruv Jurel as a cricketer, right? But another player who really deserves credit, I mean, last innings when India bowled, he missed out on a fifer. It was Ashwin who stole the show. But this time in Ashwin's 100 test match, he stole the show with the fifer. The same ground where he made his debut, 7 years ago in Dharamshala, back to the very ground. Last time around in Dharamshala, he picked up 4 wickets, but 5 wickets with a ripper which he bowled to Zach Crawley. I think that he's going to remember for a long, long time. A classic Kuldeep Yadav dismissal at this point. I mean, number of batters he's dismissed with a ball pitching outside the off stump. and taking on the leg stump has now become a norm, right? Even in the last match, he bowled a very similar ball to Zach Crawley, but Zach Crawley will know at this point a nightmare which is hanging on his head. Here's Kuldeep Yadav. But what a cricketer Kuldeep Yadav is. It's just a shame that he's only played 12 test matches.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking, had we got this version of Kuldeep, 6 years earlier, right? Like right when he made his debut, 6, 7 years earlier, and he could have somehow consistently played. I saw this comment. I don't know, Ravi Shastri made it right now, or had he said it earlier? That he said that he told earlier to Kuldeep Yadav that nothing stops you from being a great test match cricketer, except you sort of need to melt the fat away a bit. So yeah, I mean, and kudos to him today. The long, like he bowled how many? I think it was 10, 11 overs or something. He bowled that long spell, right? And
Yeah,
we've talked about this here on the channel that he bowls with like he does the hardest skill probably in wrist spin, right? You have to keep the speed slow, but you have to keep the revs high so that the
yeah,
ball turns when it pitches. It's probably the most difficult skill to master, because then not only do you have to do that, you also need to sort of pitch it on the right areas in the right areas so that it does turn when you want to. So,
hmm,
and the best thing about this Zach Crawley dismissal was that many a times we saw that Babar Azam dismissal in the World Cup, right? How he got out and how Kuldeep Yadav bowled him, and we've seen this traditional Kuldeep. But this time he deceived Zach Crawley in the flight as well. He went
yeah,
on, he bowled three sort of straight balls at a higher pace, flat trajectory, but then he bowled that
yeah,
looper, and he absolutely got deceived in the flight, couldn't read, couldn't get to the pitch of it, and then boom through the gate. So, and
yeah.
you know what, like, so this is something that I can't really help, but I really like to mention it. So the scorecard would say 4 to Ashwin, 5 to Kuldeep. If Ashwin is 4, Kuldeep is 15, bro. Like, he just took out the first 5, 6 batsmen. Like, he's gotten the first 5, 6 batsmen out, right? Out of the 6 batsmen he got
Yeah, you can see
first.
that scorecard. It's been just Kuldeep Yadav show, except for Ravindra Jadeja picking up Root. He just got the
Exactly.
most informed players.
Exactly, man. Exactly. And what a spell, and what a phase of play for India. And as we've talked about, Ben Duckett and Zach Crawley do well, and they've probably, I think, surpassed the most 50-run partnerships in India already. Right, they're on second or first in Test match career
Yeah,
already in just one series. Kudos to
yeah,
them. Genuinely, I think these two, because since Alistair Cook, right, they haven't really
yeah,
had a solid pair. Even with Cook, I don't know who used to open with Cook before, but when
yeah.
Cook, even when Cook was sort of nearing retirement, he couldn't get the second partner sort of with him. And we saw Dom Sibley, Hasib Hamid,
Hmm.
this guy, I forgot his name. He had this man bun. Rory Burns, I think
Hmm.
he was. Yeah, so
Yeah, Rory
now
was.
Zach and Ben Duckett have sort of been cemented, and a good positive, because Root's not going anywhere, Bairstow not going anywhere, Ollie Pope's not going, but these two have cemented their places. Good luck.
Yeah. But you think there's a pattern in England, right? They've gotten off to yet another brilliant start, but they have collapsed once again. I mean, with the start they've had, 64 for no loss. I mean, they tackled that Bumrah spell, which was incredible in morning. With the conditions around, with the way in which Bumrah was bowling, you just felt a wicket was around the corner, but they still managed to tackle that spell almost on the verge of lunch. They were 100 for one, and that would have really given them a lot of confidence. But it's been a very similar pattern for England from Test match one, where they keep losing wickets after the start they have, and then just they fall like a flock of cards. And once again, they've done that. I mean, players come score this quick fire 20s and they just fall down. And Kuldeep Yadav, yes, credits to him. He picked up Ben Duckett again. Ben Duckett trying to play a very weird shot. I mean, that's Ben Duckett. He scored runs that way. It's like live by the sword and die by the sword. But Oli Pope, I mean, that was a brilliant delivery. I mean, at that point, right before the lunch, you don't have to do something of that sort. Falling for that. Ben Stokes, captain, I think we have to talk about him in particular. Yet again, not winning Kuldeep Yadav, trying to play him on the back foot. It's two consecutive innings. He's looked like he's not even a proper batter. So this is just ridiculous from England to give away the starts they have gotten.
Absolutely. And you know what? Like, they have been exposed really bad in this series, right? So you look at the two phases of play, right? So what has really shined out? Basically, people have been huge in terms of praise given to Bazball, but you really need to pick its shortcomings, because Jobby, whenever they have the game, which is not quote unquote England style, which is not the English summer pitch kind of a style, when you have Bumrah or Siraj or whoever is with the new ball, right? They're bowling with a new ball. It's kind of it's mocking England conditions in a very subtle way, right? It's the new ball, it's swinging 1/10 maybe of what it does. So they're pretty comfortable in it, right? It's like a half tracker in England. So now you see, as in when spin comes in, when the ball is still a bit hard, that is when they start faltering because these are conditions they're not used to, which is playing spin with the semi new ball. And guess when the old bowlers become a threat to England? That is when it starts reversing. Because guess what? It doesn't reverse in England as well. So I think in terms of adapting, in terms of playing to the conditions, they've been zero. They've absolutely been
Absolutely.
zero. Ollie Pope saved them in the first test match, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then we just stumbled. But even in that test match, we saw the same patterns happening. They are getting good starts. And I genuinely believe that even if Beresto and Root, sort of open and they play the new ball, or anyone could open
Yeah.
for them, they do well. I believe it's got a lot to do with their fundamentals rather than the personnel because
Okay.
as a collective unit they're just going all guns blazing. That's their style. Fair enough. But then when you look at it fundamentally, adapting to the conditions, I think it's been a horrendous challenge. And I
Yeah.
think you know what, baseball needs a
But
lot of
can
the
you even say that, Antariksh? Because you mentioned about adapting to
yeah
conditions, right? This
yeah
is possibly the best batting deck any team has gotten in, I think, in a decade in India. Like, I don't think there has been any better batting deck than this for any visiting teams in India. I mean, this
absolutely
was the best opportunity for this English team to really, really do well in India. I mean, actually bat out India, right? Score 400, 450 runs and to pile on runs. Can you say at this point, is it their skill or is it India's bowling which has stepped up? Because what's this pitch has done is, I mean, we've been like really wanting rank turners to an extent, but this pitches have really done one thing, that is to really have that gap between England bowlers and Indian bowlers to such levels where England bowlers are unable to compete on good decks. Because that's what happened in Hyderabad, where a ball started turning on a rank turner. The gap between the quality of Indian bowlers and English bowlers started to come down very less because of the fact that the ball was turning for all the bowlers. Now that the
yeah
ball is not turning so much, for example, Kuldeep Yadav today was a wrist spinner who's got so much of control to get those ball to turn. Other than none of the spinners got ball to turn. Ashwin was outstanding today because he was bowling a different line altogether. I mean, for the first time, I saw Ashwin trying to ball more Nathan Line-ish kind of a line.
yeah
But can you say this is the case for English batters? Because nothing has really been doing good. The pitches are very good for batting. Nothing has been, turning or spitting off from the center of the surface. But they still have been failing. What is the reason behind that?
you know what like I'll just throw it in here. I genuinely feel it's this series, while it's been a great advertisement for test cricket, it's really been a sort of a disadvertisement or whatever you would call it to batting, to temperament. And I just don't talk about England here, I even talk about India. If you so if I put you in a game, right? If we could somehow put ratings to England bowlers and Indian bowlers, if we could all set them to 80, so each and every bowler who's going to bowl is going to be of a rating of 80. I think the
Yeah.
English bowlers outdo Indian bowlers. I genuinely believe. Shoaib Bashir and this guy who's the new off spinner,
Tom Hartley?
Hartley, yeah. Genuinely, I'm not kidding. They're not the biggest spinners of the ball, but their line and lengths have been immaculate. Immaculate. I have like the Indian batsmen have to take risks to tackle them. They can't out defend them. They are patient. They are very good. And I think if they keep bowling the way they do and they have some favorable conditions in England, they have good futures. I genuinely believe so. I was very impressed. Nothing else than just their patience, their perseverance, and the fact कि वो नए लोग हैं उनको मार पड़ रही है. They're being beaten all in square, but they're still bowling that length. We saw Bashir today got smacked for 3 sixes around the same length, but he kept bowling upwards. He kept bowling upwards. We saw Hartley getting smacked, being backed by Stokes, and then still bowling there. So that is where I believe. That is why I think this series, batting has just dropped to standards. And you're absolutely right. Batting decks have been great. These decks are absolutely batting friendly. You look at, okay, so it's been 4 test matches. It's around 80 wickets for England, and at the 10, 90. 90 may say I can guarantee 60 of them were like rash shots. 60, 70 of them were rash shots. And same goes for India, right? Same goes for India, except that first test match, second innings. I
I mean,
think
I think
we
first test match, first innings, India lost the game because of some rash shots. India could have really
exactly.
gone on to take some 300 lead that game.
Exactly. So I just think this series has been a great showcase for Test cricket, but it's really shown how temperament has gone from the game. And if I had to credit, I genuinely believe that there are only two bowlers like this. So while you were asking, right, is it the English batsman or it's the Indian bowlers? I genuinely believe we haven't bowled the best in this series. It's only Kuldeep Yadav and Bumrah does what he does. You give him a graveyard shift. He does that one spell where he'd get only 2 wickets, right? Don't get me wrong. He'd not get 5 fours and 6 fours, but he'd get those 2 wickets of Root and Pope, or whoever's making the best use of the resources at that time, and that just shifts the game, shifts the momentum.
I
I
mean,
think
that's been
Ashwin's been
Bumrah, right? That's
disappointing.
just been Bumrah. And I think I just particularly enjoy the way how Ashwin bowled in this test innings. I mean, somewhere I thought this is the Ashwin I wanted to see every time when he goes to
Yeah,
Australia, England.
absolutely.
I mean, the line which he bowled was totally an overseas spinner line, like a lion kind of a line. That's why I
Yeah,
mentioned that because usually Ashwin is more stump to stump. He likes to bowl on the stump line and get the ball to do something. I mean, he's been successful. His man has picked up 500 wickets, right? I mean,
exactly.
he's not an ordinary bowler. He's not balled that line and not picked up wickets. Picked up 500 wickets, but then his adaptability to change that line has really worked good. Today he picked up 5 wickets, and this has been his biggest downfall in the series as well. I mean, though he picked up 5 wickets in the last innings he bowled, he's not really had the best of Ashwin kind of a series. Right? Let's be honest.
Absolutely.
Ashwin in India is a whole nother gravy. It's tough to counter him. I mean, every team loses a test match just worrying about Ashwin way before they land on Indian shores. But the fact of the matter is, in today's game, what he decided to do was to shift the line outside the off stump, give a little bit more air, and make the batter to go for it. I mean, that I think it was a dismissal which he got of Mark Wood for that matter. It was exceptional. I mean, just
Yeah.
hitting those lines, just making the batter to just push at it, and you'll get the wickets. That's how line balls. That's how a lot of great spinners have bowled. And I think Ashwin has done good. Jadeja has been always been accurate. He's not done anything wrong today. Other pacers, they could have got a couple of wickets here, but I mean, it wasn't. I mean, maybe second innings they can do a lot better. But let's come to a very interesting call. India has made a debutant. So it's a fifth debutant in the series. That's the highest India has ever had. I mean, last match, I thought we broke the record for the most number of debutants in a series. Devlal Padikkal makes a debut. How do you see him go about? I think he's an excellent to bat. I mean, a phenomenal player. I mean, has had a phenomenal Ranji trophy, but all opening the batting. Now, it's for the first time this guy's going to be batting at number 4. How do you see this call of having Devlal Padikkal? Because I think India had no option because Rajat Patidar was injured before the match.
Oh, he was injured. Oh, I didn't know that. I thought he was just dropped. But yeah, anyway, I wanted him to, leave out the space for someone like Devdutt Padikkal. And I think, with the series in the bag, with the number of debuts that we gave away, it's nice. I was happy. Uh, let's see how he will fare now. And 1 wicket's down, and Shubman's here. So Shubman's here to stay at 3, right? No, nothing changes that, right? I don't know why. I still had some doubts. Maybe Shubman could be shifted. I don't know why. Like not doubting in terms of capability, but in terms of I don't know. It just got there. And I recently was when I was reading. No, I was watching an interview, and there was a person I can't remember his name, and they said ex-cricketer. They said right, Cheteshwar Pujara and Rahane are back to. It was in the Shreyas Iyer and Ishan Kishan context, and they were saying that when players of those nature and those stats and those magnitude, Pujara and Rahane are playing Ranji. So then, who are you to skip Ranji? So I was just sort of thinking that, and I was somehow thinking, what if Pujara now scores a next Ranji season? He's like he scores a trillion runs in Ranji. So like, what do you do then? So,
Yeah.
but anyways, yeah, very happy for Particle. I am a bit sad that Akashdeep couldn't get a game this time. With the
Hmm.
series in the bag, Siraj again could have been rested now, and we talked about
Yeah,
this
I
prior.
personally felt the same as well. I
Yeah,
personally felt the same. I agree.
with Akashdeep, he took those 3 wickets and then sort of drifted away in the game because, frankly speaking, he didn't get the
I mean, these
chances to
conditions would have been ideal, right, for someone like an
exactly,
Akashdeep.
exactly. So really, really, really sort of feel that because when are we going to have a test match of this magnitude or in this series in India, and Akashdeep has to now wait. So yeah, but happy about Devdutt Padikkal and happy that at least Akashdeep got a game.
But I just want to ask you this question about tomorrow. How do we go about it? 135 for one. And we also know that we are very inexperienced middle order. Let's be honest. though we have scored those runs, but our middle order is also brittle. One of the reasons why England has competed against us is because we have also been very susceptible to collapsing. And when
Yeah.
we have collapsed quite badly. I mean, for example, let's talk about last match in Ranchi. If not for that effort from Dhruv Jurel and Kuldeep Yadav, we could have been easily all out for 200 run and they would have really been on top of the game. But here, I mean, looks good at this point, but can we say tomorrow our job is going to be to put our head down? It's a new day. We have to get at least a 200, 250 lead over here and to take them out of the game, like out bat them, bat long and bat once.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Anything, right? Anything above leaders. I'm going very conservative here. Anything above in terms of 80, 90 runs, I think that is like very,
80,
very
90,
hardcore.
that's it.
No, no,
That's
I'm
less.
saying the bare minimum. I'm saying the
Okay.
bare minimum, right? Because like it's like you sort of put your stamp in the first session itself, right? Okay, we'll level the scores. Now we just need that. It's like sort of going on from there. But in terms of how you're saying, bat long and bat once, I hope that happens. If we get the lead anywhere near 250, I don't think we're gonna bat again. Just the whole pressure and everything. We know how Test cricket rolls, right? You don't really come to bat on or
Yeah.
when once in a century kind of a match happens, third innings results in a score of 600 and the game is drawn. But I don't think that's going to happen because this England side can score 600 in a day or odd. So yeah,
Yeah.
the days are not going anywhere. That's the point, and I think it's going to
I
be
think the
wrapped.
highest score in this entire series is 444, if I'm not wrong. I
There
mean,
you go.
that's the highest score in this entire series. So no one has even touched 450 in a series. I mean, that's where your point again makes sense. Batting has been very ordinary. I mean, throughout the series.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
So
And like while we enjoy all of this and Sarfaraz hitting, and why I was really impressed with Dhruv Jurel was that again the point that we talked about, right? It's all cool to smack away here and there, but we all know why like it's almost like Sunil Gavaskar and Lord don't play anymore. So right,
yeah,
this is a generation that knows how to play shots. When the
yeah,
field is so in, like when it's so aggressive, it's almost a safe shot to play over the top.
mm,
It genuinely
yeah,
is until and unless you
yeah,
don't connect it at all, it's almost like a very safe shot because
yeah,
now there are no techniques to trust. Because when you have three people around the bat, why would you want to
yeah,
defend? Because
yeah,
the bharosa आपका defense से उठ चुका है, right? You
yeah,
don't trust your own defense. So that
yeah,
that that's a bit sad also. That's why I really like Dhruv Jurel's knock. He just sort of built his innings. He did not sort of go about it. He built his innings. I see some of that in Shubman Gill as well. I'm really happy about it. And I don't mind Yashasvi Jaiswal at the top, who sort of mimics what Virender Sehwag used to do back in the day. And if we
yeah.
could get anywhere near the strike rate and the average of Virender Sehwag over the long term, I think we're set for the next 10, 15 years.
I'll give you a very interesting stat that you spoke about Virendra Sehwag. So Virendra Sehwag has had 91 sixers in the 104 test matches he has played, right? Yashasvi Jaiswal has already hit 29 sixers in the 9 test matches. Now that's one third of Sehwag's test match sixers in the 1/11th of Sehwag's test tenure. Now he's well on course to probably break Sehwag's record. Remember, 26 test match sixers in this particular test series he's hit, and
Yeah.
700 runs he has scored. He's
That's the
now
first
in a
thing, right?
very elite list of 700 plus runs in a series, which includes two Sunil Gavaskars in 2 times and Yashasvi Jaiswal himself. That's some
Wow.
record to have.
Wow. And yeah, while listening to the commentary, I was surprised. Sachin Tendulkar has never gone past the 500 mark. I was like, all right, that this is something I didn't know. So apparently, Sachin Tendulkar has not gone past the 500 run mark in a Test series ever. So yeah, I was
500
like,
or 700? 500, is
no,
it?
500, 500. Yeah, 500. Yeah, exactly. I
Okay.
was thinking, okay, double 100 ke baad bhi nahi, but no. But then Harsha Bhogle quickly came to jump in to save Sachin, and he said that there were not many five
Five
match
test
series
matches.
back
Yeah,
then.
I understand. Yeah.
In throughout his career, he only played three, and those were outside India. So
Yeah.
fair enough. Anyways, but yeah, comparisons with Sehwag and everything, they just sort of prove that he's on the best track that he could have been amidst a very small yet very fruitful-looking Test career from Yashasvi Jaiswal. And yeah, he also seems like a good mix of
I
wanting
mean,
to hit.
the thing is, Sehwag, I thought only had one gear, right? He could never like play. I think Yashasvi has another gear where he can fight his time out as well. I mean, that's the best quality you can see from Yashasvi. I mean, you can never put Sehwag and tell him to play 200 balls for like what 50 runs. I think Yashasvi is capable of doing that, and Yashasvi
Yeah,
can turn that around in very quick succession. That is the best part about him.
yeah, and you know what? Like it may be a strong claim, but I do think that he's a so Sehwag was a better driver of the ball, according to me. But Yashasvi seems like to be a better lofter of the ball, if you know what I mean. Right?
Okay.
Like he just likes to loft the ball because and for me that is good. I like that. I don't like when you like to keep your shots grounded if you're going attacking. If you're going
Yeah.
attacking, you go full throttle. I'm not
Hmm.
talking about, you put a lot of effort, you look to time the ball obviously, but you go in the air in the
Yeah.
gap.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
once you try to keep it down and it doesn't, it brings in a whole circle of fielders into the play. But
Yeah.
once he tries to loft it, we've seen right, none of the sixes go into the stands like out of the ground. They
Yeah.
Here's the boundary line, they just cross it because he just tosses it up in the air,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
which is
Yeah. I
really
understand.
good.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Correct.
So I really like that aspect because when the cherry is new, right,
I mean,
it
this
really
guy
flies.
hits sixers so effortlessly, right? I mean, if even if you were the wicket he had, the way in which he was just missing, if they would have connected over six, I barely
Yeah,
see him mistime a shot. I mean, that's a very good thing. So you can say the word we use, hit sixers at will, he's got that ability, and that's a very very good ability to have. I mean, as Indians, we don't have that kind of players, right? Who can hit sixers at will. I mean, I know it's a wrong format. We often refer to this term in T20, which we'll talk about more often in another 2 weeks' time. But to hit sixers at will is something which a lot of Indians don't have because I think Indians are genetically not that strong. Secondly, we talk about that term so much in resonance with a West Indian player like a Gale. Like he can hit sixes at will. Pollard can hit sixes at will. But this guy's got technique, the temperament, and can hit sixes at will. That's a very different breed. I mean, Virat Kohli did not have that. Tendulkar did not have that. Gavaskar did not have that. But this guy has that.
yeah. I mean, I agree because there's one thing trying to play aggressive. Someone like Rishabh Pant, right? If you take for example,
Yeah.
now, he doesn't. We don't see that tendency in him to hit sixes, if you know what I mean, right? Like, just we're just purely talking about hitting sixes here, nothing else. Like just that ability, and it could go into the shorter format of the game as well, for sure. Like his ability, his belief, his confidence in his own self to clear the rope, just clearing the rope, right? Is massive, right? I don't know. It was Alistair Cook or something like that. He hit seven sixes. That was equivalent to his whole career, right? That
Mm.
the number of sixes
Mm.
that he hit in one innings. So that
Yeah.
it might seem like a test cricketer sixer ka kya hai? Remember, it's almost like his debut series, right?
Mm.
It's his debut series, and then he has the confidence to do what he's doing. Phenomenal,
I mean,
absolutely
yeah,
phenomenal,
true.
and
I mean, let's
very
be
happy.
honest.
Yeah,
He played two test matches in West Indies, two test matches in South Africa, and this is less than 10 test match old at this point. I mean, how many test matches? 9 test matches, if
yeah.
I'm not wrong. Yeah, nine. This is ninth test match, and he's got an average close to 70, 71, and he's been like rocking it. I mean, what a player. I mean, generational. I mean, it's an understatement. And he's already broke a record today for the most number of sixes hit by an Indian against any opposition. The highest was Tendulkar before against Australia. And that is all a career span, okay? Tendulkar has had 25 sixes in his 200 test matches, among which he's played at least 50 test matches in Australia. Rishabh Pant has hit 21 against England. This is in one series of 5 test matches, already broke that record. So
I think he could
he
go
is,
to 100 sixes against England.
you give him three, you give him two more test series, he'll break Sehwag's record of 91. Looking at
Exactly.
this record, I mean, that is how
Exactly.
fast he's rolling at. I mean, I like that. I like that. We need a player like that. And
What's the next
I,
test series that we have?
I think India playing Bangladesh, then India playing New Zealand at home and Bangladesh at home. Then we go to Australia for 5. So
Nice.
that's how
So the
India's
New Zealand one is
FT.
going to be good. It's in India.
It's in India, but I don't really see anyone challenging India. I think the one
Yeah,
challenging test series we have is Australia at the end of the year.
yeah. That is obviously going to be a big
That is
challenge.
obviously the marquee event, right? I mean, I think if you want to talk about Border Gavaskar Trophy, it's an as you can put it in a parity with a world event as big as that because of what has
Absolutely,
happened. We are
absolutely.
we
And
are, we are
Australia
undefeated for
hasn't
last one day.
Australia hasn't seen the trophy for quite many years now. COVID, before COVID we won, after COVID we won, beach mein
Yeah,
COVID. 3 4 years
yeah,
it's been with us now.
yeah. It's
It's
been
not
with us
gone
for
the
a
border side.
decade now. Last time
Stayed
they
with
won
South
was
Africa.
in 2014.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. I
they
mean,
haven't won a Border
so
Gavaskar Trophy for so long. So
Yeah, man.
yeah, I
And
mean,
I think this time they'll be pumped. They'll be pumped. I
they'll be
think,
pumped. Obviously, they'll be pumped. It's a 5 Test match series. Obviously, it's a big deal.
and I
The
still think they'll
first
be
time
favorites, right?
they will head as favorites. Obviously, it's Australia, but I still think it's going to be close. I can't really judge a winner, but it's going to be close. If we have a
Yeah.
full strength team, that is, if we have Shami, Bumrah, not like last time that we're going to have a team of reserves or some sort. But if you have a full strength team, then obviously I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be a challenge for
Yeah.
these guys like Yashasvi and Shubman and
Yeah.
whoever
Yeah.
plays.
Yeah.
Virat Kohli, I think, will be back. I
Very
really hope
excited to
India
see
starts.
how I don't know what's the scene with Pant and you, but Dhruv Jurel hoga maybe, and Sarfaraz if he stays there, but for sure Yashasvi, Shubman, them sort of imagine these players would get on top of the bounce and try to smack
Yeah.
some, but let's see, man, it's very far, but yeah.
I think it's going to be one series to watch, and already we're just in the third month of the year. That's happening in the 11th month, and I think it's a good
Yeah,
build up.
exactly. I was gonna say that, right? Isn't it at the end of the year?
Yeah,
And
it's
we
just
just had
literally
the
at the end of the
ninjas.
year. But right? Like after 2021, that whole GABA thing, it's still fresh in our memory. I mean, you can't believe it's the next series already. I mean, you still
Yeah.
don't want to get out of it. It's like a World Cup kind of returning, and I hope India does well. And that's about it from us for tonight. I mean, a good day and analyzing game of India, and India are on top of the game at this point. India are still trailing by close to 90 odd runs, but tomorrow the 83 runs is what India are trailing by. But tomorrow, the first things India would want to do is to get that lead in the first session and pile on it. And hopefully, India doesn't lose more than a wicket in the first session. Thank you, Antariksh, again for joining. It was a pleasure talking to you. And guys, if you're new here, don't forget to check out our course in Mad About Sports and Cricket Analytics. This is your opportunity to make a career in cricket analytics. Register yourself with the link down in the description. And also remember, you can be here watching our channel every day because IPL is around the corner and a lot of exciting news on cricket is happening. WPL is happening. So we'll be here giving you all the latest updates on cricket and sports across the world. Have a good time, all of you. See you all very soon. Bye bye.